My dear friends, what if everything you've been told about love, marriage, and a woman's purpose is wrong? In a world drowning in broken relationships, empty hookups, and gender confusion, the legendary Billy Graham's words hit like a thunderbolt from heaven. This isn't just another feel-good speech. This is a wake-up call. If your marriage feels lonely, if you're tired of shallow relationships, if you've ever wondered, God, what was I really made for? Then you cannot miss this. Billy Graham's shocking truths about intimacy, God's design for women, and the sacred power of marriage have left millions speechless. This message destroys modern lies and reveals the divine blueprint for unshakable love. Warning, this will challenge you. It might even offend you. But if you let it, it could save your marriage, heal your heart, and lead you straight into the arms of God's perfect plan. Don't just listen. Let this break you and rebuild you. The clock is ticking. Your moment starts now. The marriage crisis no one is talking about. Let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. When was the last time you saw a truly happy marriage? I'm not talking about those picture-perfect Instagram couples where everything looks flawless. I mean the kind of marriage where you can feel the love radiating off them, where they've been through hell and back, but still look at each other with that same spark after 30 years. The painful truth is, these marriages are becoming extinct. We're living in a generation that treats marriage like a trial subscription. Cancel anytime when you're not completely satisfied. But here's what Billy Graham warned us about that most people miss. This isn't just about failing marriages. This is about failing people. The divorce rate hovering around 50% is just the tip of the iceberg. What about the millions of couples who stay married but live like emotional strangers, who sleep in the same bed but haven't touched each other's souls in years? The crisis runs deeper than statistics can show. Modern culture has sold us three devastating lies about marriage that are destroying relationships. First, that marriage exists to make you happy rather than holy. Second, that love is a feeling rather than a commitment. And third, that you should leave when it gets hard rather than letting the hard times transform you. Billy Graham saw this coming decades ago when he said, "The modern marriage is crumbling because we've replaced God's blueprint with our own emotional whims." Think about how radically different this is from what the Bible teaches. Marriage wasn't designed to be easy. It was designed to make you more like Christ. The world tells you to follow your heart, but Jeremiah 17:9 says, "The heart is deceitful above all things." We've been building our relationships on the shifting sand of emotions rather than the solid rock of God's truth, and we wonder why they keep collapsing. The most eye-opening research shows that couples who pray together daily have a divorce rate not because they're perfect, but because they've tapped into the power source that sustains marriages, divine connection. This isn't just religious talk, it's spiritual physics. When two people are individually connected to God, they create a supernatural bond that circumstances can't break. The world says marriage is about finding the right person. God says it's about being the right person. The world says quit when the feelings fade. God says that's when real love begins. We've been doing it backwards, and Billy Graham's message is the wake-up call we desperately need. God's radical blueprint for intimacy. Now let's shatter the biggest myth about intimacy that's poisoning modern relationships. The lie that physical connection equals true intimacy. Billy Graham delivered one of his most countercultural messages when he declared, "The bedroom isn't where intimacy starts, it's where it's expressed." This changes everything. Real intimacy begins in the spiritual and emotional dimensions long before it ever reaches the physical. Think about it like this. You can't build the top floor of a skyscraper without first laying an unshakable foundation. Yet millions of couples try to construct their intimacy backwards, focusing on physical chemistry while neglecting the spiritual and emotional foundations that make sex truly meaningful. This is why so many feel empty after hookups. They've experienced the shadow of intimacy without its substance. The Bible presents a radically different model in Song of Solomon, where the lovers first connect through words, service, and emotional vulnerability before coming together physically. Billy Graham emphasized that Christian couples often make the mistake of treating sex as either dirty or obligatory, missing the sacred middle ground where physical intimacy becomes worship. He taught that sex within marriage is holy when it flows from mutual sacrifice rather than selfish demand. This explains why studies show that married couples who prioritize emotional and spiritual connection report significantly higher sexual satisfaction than those who focus only on physical technique. The most intimate moments often happen outside the bedroom, when a husband washes dishes without being asked, when a wife speaks words of affirmation to her weary husband, when both kneel together in prayer. These are the moments that build what researchers call emotional capital, the reservoir of goodwill that carries couples through tough seasons. Modern culture laughs at the idea of waiting for marriage, but science now confirms what the Bible taught all along. Couples who wait report higher marital satisfaction, better communication, and more stable relationships. This isn't about repression, it's about preservation. Like a master painter who doesn't rush the process but patiently prepares the canvas, mixes the colors, and plans the composition before ever touching brush to surface. Billy Graham's most controversial statement on intimacy might surprise you. The greatest sexual organ isn't between your legs, it's between your ears. He wasn't dismissing physical pleasure but elevating the role of the mind in creating truly satisfying intimacy. When two people's thoughts, emotions, and spirits are aligned, their physical connection reaches heights the world can't imagine. This explains why pornography destroys real intimacy. It separates the physical from the emotional and spiritual, training people to crave stimulation without connection. The path to extraordinary intimacy isn't more technique, it's more transparency, more vulnerability, more shared prayer, more mutual serving. When couples build this kind of whole-person intimacy, they don't just have sex, they make love in the truest, deepest, most God-honoring sense of the phrase. The earth-shattering truth about a woman's design. An era of gender confusion and role reversal. Billy Graham's teachings on womanhood stand like an unmovable mountain against the shifting sands of cultural trends. But before you assume this is some outdated patriarchal message, hear this shocking truth. What Graham taught about women's design is actually the most empowering vision of femininity you'll ever encounter. The world tells women they must act like men to be valuable. God says a woman's power comes from her unique design. The world says motherhood is a limitation. God says it's the ultimate leadership. The world screams that submission means weakness. The Bible shows it's the position of greatest influence. Let me prove this with something that will blow your mind. Every major revival in history was sparked by women. From the early church mothers to the prayer warriors of the Great Awakening, women operating in their God-given design have moved nations. Billy Graham often said his own ministry was built on the prayers of his mother and wife. This isn't about putting women in boxes. It's about releasing them into their supernatural potential. Modern feminism got one thing right. Women are incredibly powerful, but it got the direction wrong. True feminine power doesn't come from competing with men, but from complementing them, like two wings on a bird. When both operate in their unique strengths, they soar higher than either could alone. The Bible is full of explosive examples. Deborah the judge and military strategist, Esther the queen, who saved a nation, Mary who bore the Savior of the world. These women didn't need to reject their femininity to change history. They fulfilled their purpose through it. Here's what culture won't tell you. The most influential person in any society isn't the loudest voice in the room, but the one who shapes the next generation. Mothers are the invisible architects of civilization. Billy Graham said, "The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world," and neuroscience proves it. A mother's influence literally shapes her child's brain development, emotional health, and future relationships. This isn't to limit women to motherhood, but to reveal its cosmic importance. For single women, this truth is equally powerful. Your femininity isn't defined by marital status, but by your divine design. You carry unique capacities for nurture, intuition, and spiritual discernment that the world desperately needs. The lie of our age is that a woman must suppress her nature to succeed. The truth is that when she embraces how God wired her, she becomes unstoppable. This explains why women in their 40s and 50s often report a second awakening. After years of chasing worldly definitions of success, they discover their greatest fulfillment comes from operating in their God-given design. Whether as mothers, mentors, ministers, or marketplace leaders, women living out their true design become forces of transformation. Billy Graham's daughter, Anne, said, "My father didn't teach women to be small, he taught them to be strategic." This is the missing piece in today's gender debates. Not competition between men and women, but collaboration according to divine wisdom. When both genders operate in their strengths without apology or comparison, they create harmony that reflects the Trinity itself. From broken to restored, how God heals marriages. If your marriage feels beyond repair, I need you to hear this. Some of the most powerful testimonies I've seen started with couples on the brink of divorce. Billy Graham often said, "No marriage is too broken for God to restore." But here's the part we often miss. Healing requires following God's repair manual rather than our instincts. When a marriage struggles, we typically try two approaches that never work. The first is the grin and bear it method, pretending everything's fine while resentment builds. The second is the blame and shame approach, keeping score of faults. Both fail because they treat symptoms rather than the root issue, spiritual disconnect. Real healing begins with understanding that marriage isn't primarily about compatibility, it's about covenant. Not about finding the right person, but becoming the right partner. The Bible outlines 3 transformative stages of marital restoration that most couples never try. First, vertical realignment. Both individuals getting right with God separately before trying to fix each other. Second, horizontal forgiveness. Releasing bitterness that's poisoning the relationship. Third, forward momentum. Rebuilding trust through new patterns of grace. I've watched couples on the verge of divorce experience miraculous turnarounds when they committed to 3 simple but supernatural practices: daily prayer together, even if just 60 seconds, weekly honest check-ins without distractions, and monthly intentional dates to reconnect. The research is stunning. Couples who pray together daily have divorce rates under 1, not because they're perfect, but because they're tapping into divine power beyond themselves. The most powerful healing often comes through what seems counterintuitive. Serving your spouse when you feel hurt, blessing when you want to curse, giving grace when you want to demand justice. This isn't being a doormat, it's being like Christ. The breakthrough comes when we realize marriage isn't about getting our needs met, but about reflecting God's love to each other. That's why the most transformed marriages often start when one spouse stops waiting for the other to change and starts letting God change them first. The beautiful paradox: as we become more Christ-like, our marriages become more heavenly. Your marriage miracle starts today. This isn't just another marriage talk. This is your divine intervention moment. Right now, God is inviting you into a love story more beautiful than you've dared imagine. Billy Graham's final words on marriage hold the key. The best marriages aren't those that never face storms, but those that let the storms drive them closer to God and each other. Your pain has purpose. Your struggles have significance. Your story isn't over. The world will tell you to give up, but God is whispering, "Trust me." Here's how your miracle begins. First, surrender your timeline. Healing may come instantly or gradually, but it will come. Second, embrace the process. Every argument is an opportunity to grow. Every tear waters new growth. Third, celebrate small wins. A kind word spoken, a prayer whispered, a forgiveness offered. These are seeds of your future. I need you to see something revolutionary. Your marriage isn't just about you. It's a living parable of Christ's love for the church. When you choose love when it's hard, forgiveness when it hurts, and faithfulness when you want to quit, you're showing the world what God's love looks like. This is why the enemy attacks marriages so fiercely, because they reflect divine glory. But here's the good news. Greater is He who is in you than any storm you face. Today can mark a new beginning regardless of your past. Maybe you need to write that apology you've been putting off. Delete those compromising messages. Schedule that counseling appointment you've avoided. Fall on your knees and surrender your marriage to God. The miracle starts when you take that first step of faith. Billy Graham's ministry saw thousands of marriages transformed when couples did one simple thing. They stopped trying to fix each other and started seeking God together. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. Say this out loud right now. God, I surrender my marriage to you. Heal what's broken. Restore what's been lost. Make our love reflect yours. Now watch what He will do. Your best days aren't behind you. They're ahead. This isn't the end, it's your new beginning. If this message spoke to you, type amen in the comment. Share this with someone whose marriage needs hope. And most importantly, take that first step of faith today. Your love story is still being written, and the author knows exactly how to make it beautiful. Don't give up. Your breakthrough is coming.